Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone.
You didn't wake up this morning by accident. You didn't take that first breath just by chance. Your life is no random coincidence. The odds of you being here, breathing, thinking, feeling, are 1 in 400 trillion. So if you ever doubt your worth, remember the gift of life is no faking accident. You were chosen for a reason, even if you can't see it yet. Let me tell you about a woman I met after one of my talks. Her name was Emma. She came up to me with tears in her eyes and said, "Brene, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. Everything I touch falls apart. Maybe life made a mistake choosing me." We sat down and I asked her one question. "Emma, when was the last time you laughed so hard you couldn't breathe?" She smiled softly. "Yesterday. My daughter spilled milk all over the kitchen, and we both just sat there laughing." I said, "That right there, that moment, is proof that life didn't make a mistake, because accidents don't create love like that. You see, sometimes we think pain, rejection, or loss means we're broken. But often, those are the cracks where the light of purpose seeps in. The places where we realize that just being alive, even with all our scars, is the miracle. You are not a coincidence. You are a choice. You are not a random name in the universe's database, not a mistake, not a background character in someone else's story. You are here on purpose. That heartbeat inside you, that quiet awareness that keeps whispering, there's more to life than this. It's not an accident. It's evidence of design, of intention, of something far greater than luck or chance. Most of us grow up believing we need to earn our right to exist. We try to prove we're worthy of love, success, or belonging by what we achieve, how we look, or who we impress. But here's the truth: before you ever accomplished anything, before you took your first breath, you were already enough. The very fact that you're here, listening, breathing, feeling, is divine evidence that you were chosen. Life said, "I need this one." When I was younger, I used to think purpose was something you chased down, something that lived at the end of a perfect plan. But now, I believe purpose is something that finds you when you stop running. It's not about what you do, it's about how you show up. It's the way you listen when someone's breaking, the way you forgive when you could have stayed angry, the way you rise again after being shattered. Every one of those moments proves that your life was never random. It's sacred. Sometimes we feel lost not because we don't have purpose, but because we've been told to look for it in the wrong places. We've been conditioned to equate worth with productivity, to believe that unless we're winning, we're failing. But your worth isn't tied to your resume or your bank account or your relationship status. It's tied to your humanity, your ability to feel deeply, to love wildly, and to choose hope even when everything in you wants to give up. Think about it: every cell in your body, every heartbeat, every inhale and exhale, it's all working together to keep you here. That's not a coincidence. That's a miracle. You didn't just happen. You were crafted, designed, chosen with care. The universe doesn't make extras. And maybe you've been through things that made you question all of this. Pain that shattered you, losses that hollowed you out, days that made you wonder if you even mattered. But here's something I've learned about pain. It's not the evidence that life has abandoned you, it's proof that you're still engaged in it. The same hand that allowed the breaking is also capable of the healing. Sometimes the cracks in us aren't where we end. They're where we begin again. You are not a coincidence. You are a deliberate, divine expression of life itself. Raw, imperfect, and irreplaceable. The sooner you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What now?" the sooner you'll realize that the reason you're still here isn't random. It's redemption. You're still here because there's more for you to give, more for you to love, more for you to become. So when you doubt your place in this world, remember this: the very act of your existence is life's way of saying, you were meant to be. A pain is proof that you're alive, and that, in itself, is a gift. We spend so much of our lives running from it, numbing it, pretending we're fine, when the truth is, pain is the language through which life often whispers, "You're still here." It's strange, isn't it? How something that hurts so much can also be the thing that anchors us back to what's real. Most of us are taught early on that pain is something to be avoided at all costs. We're told to stay strong, move on, or look on the bright side. But that kind of emotional fast forwarding doesn't heal us. It hides us. When we try to outrun pain, it doesn't disappear. It buries itself deep inside us, showing up later as anger, fear, perfectionism, or the quiet achy of disconnection. What we resist emotionally doesn't vanish. It transforms. It becomes a story we tell ourselves about why we're not enough. But here's what I've learned through years of research and thousands of stories: pain is not your enemy. Pain is your teacher. It's not there to destroy you, it's there to awaken you. Every heartbreak, every loss, every failure, each one carries a message, a lesson that can only be understood when we stop numbing and start listening. The truth is, pain reveals what matters most to us. We only hurt deeply when we've loved deeply. We only grieve when something sacred has been lost. And that's where the beauty lies. Pain is the proof of connection. It reminds us that our hearts are still capable of feeling, even after being shattered. It's the evidence that we have something in us worth protecting, worth fighting for. When you allow yourself to feel pain fully, without editing, without shame, you begin to reclaim your humanity. You begin to remember that being alive was never meant to be painless. It was meant to be real. I remember once talking to a man who had lost everything he loved. His job, his marriage, his health. He said, "I don't feel alive anymore." But as he spoke, his voice trembled, his eyes filled with tears. And I told him, that trembling, that ache, that is life. You're feeling it because you're still connected to it. That conversation changed the way I see suffering. Sometimes the pain isn't proof that we're broken, it's proof that we're still participating, that we still care. There's a sacred kind of power that comes when we stop fighting our pain and start walking with it. It softens us. It deepens us. It teaches empathy in ways that comfort never could. When we embrace pain as part of our story, not the end of it, we begin to understand something extraordinary. The same wound that once made us fall can become the source of our strength. So instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What is this pain trying to teach me?" Because pain, when faced with courage, transforms into wisdom. It shapes our compassion, our character, our courage. And maybe, just maybe, the most painful parts of your life are actually the moments that are building the strongest parts of you. Pain doesn't mean you've failed at living. It means you're fully participating in it. You're still breathing, still learning, still becoming. And that is the quiet miracle of it all. That in every ache, every tear, every heartbreak, life is still saying, "I'm not done with you yet. Your story matters." Every chapter, every contradiction, every messy, unpolished part of it. We live in a world that celebrates highlight reels and polished endings, but real life isn't a movie montage. It's awkward, unpredictable, and often beautifully imperfect. Yet, somewhere along the way, we started believing that only the neat, filtered, and put together parts of our stories are worthy of being seen. We hide the cracks, the tears, the moments of doubt, thinking they disqualify us from being enough. But it's the cracks that make us human. It's the unfiltered moments that connect us. Every single one of us carries a story that could break someone's heart and heal someone else's. The problem is most of us are too afraid to share it. We fear judgment, rejection, and the possibility that our pain will be misunderstood. So we edit ourselves. We say, "I'm fine," when we're falling apart. We say, "It doesn't matter," when it matters more than anything. But hiding your truth doesn't protect you, it isolates you. I remember interviewing a woman once who told me that for most of her life, she believed vulnerability made her weak. She had survived a difficult childhood, and her coping mechanism was perfection. Never show the cracks, never let anyone know when you're scared. But the more she hid, the lonelier she became. Then one day, she stood up in a support group and said out loud for the first time, "I am exhausted from pretending to be strong." And the room went silent, not in judgment, but in recognition. Every person there exhaled, as if she had spoken the words they were too afraid to say themselves. That's the power of owning your story. It gives others permission to own theirs. Your honesty creates connection. Your courage becomes someone else's lifeline. And in a world that constantly pressures us to appear invincible, the most radical act you can commit is to be real. We are not meant to be perfect. We are meant to be whole. Wholeness is not the absence of flaws, it's the presence of self-acceptance. It's the courage to say, this is who I am, unfinished, imperfect, but worthy of love anyway. When we tell our stories from a place of truth instead of shame, something shifts inside us. The shame begins to lose its power. The silence begins to break. And we realize that maybe our stories aren't things to hide, but gifts to share. Because somewhere out there, someone is walking through a storm you've already survived. And they need to know it's survivable. They need to hear your voice saying, I've been there too. That's how healing ripples through the world, one honest story at a time. So, tell your story. Tell it with trembling hands if you must, but tell it. Don't wait until it's perfect. Don't wait until it's over. The world doesn't need another flawless success story. It needs your truth, raw and unedited. Because your story, your real, messy, beautiful, imperfect story, is not a burden. It's a bridge. It's how we find each other in this chaotic world. And when we do, we realize that we were never as alone as we thought we were. Comparison is one of the quietest thieves of joy we'll ever meet. It doesn't kick down the door of your confidence. It sneaks in quietly, whispering, you're not enough. And before you realize it, you're looking at someone else's life. Their success, their beauty, their relationship, their timing, and questioning your own worth. But here's the truth. Comparison isn't just a distraction, it's a distortion. It tricks you into believing that your path should look like someone else's, when in reality, your story was never meant to be a copy. It was designed to be original. I remember talking to a college student once who told me she couldn't even scroll through social media without feeling defeated. She said, everyone seems to be doing better than me. They're all getting engaged, landing jobs, traveling, and I'm just stuck. She looked down at her hands as if ashamed of where she was. I told her something that I had to learn the hard way. You can't compare your behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel. What you see online, or even in real life, is a snapshot, a fraction of someone's whole story. And most of the time, that story is just as complicated and messy as yours. The danger of comparison is that it robs you of the wonder of your own journey. You stop seeing your growth because you're too busy measuring it against someone else's timeline. You stop appreciating your unique rhythm because you're trying to march to someone else's beat. And when that happens, life starts to feel like a race you can never win. But the truth is, you're not behind. You're not late. You're not failing because your path looks different. You are exactly where you need to be to learn what your soul came here to learn. The universe isn't running out of opportunities, love, or miracles. It's just unfolding them for you at a different pace. Comparison blinds you to that. Gratitude opens your eyes again. When you stop comparing, something powerful happens. You begin to notice your own wonder. You start seeing the beauty in your imperfections, the grace in your timing, the quiet victories that once went unnoticed. You start realizing that success isn't a finish line. It's the courage to stay true to yourself when everything around you tells you to change. Here's something I know for sure: no one can live your story better than you. No one can offer the world your exact combination of scars, dreams, and strengths. That's your fingerprint, your divine signature. And every time you diminish your own light by comparing it to someone else's, the world loses something irreplaceable. So, the next time you feel yourself spiraling into comparison, pause and whisper this truth to your heart. My path is my own. Look at where you are, not through the lens of what's missing, but through the eyes of what's growing. Because right now, in this very moment, you're becoming something extraordinary. You are not behind. You are becoming. You are unfolding. And the beauty of it all is that no one else in this entire world could do it quite like you. Gratitude is not about pretending that everything in your life is perfect. It's not about plastering a smile on your face when your heart feels heavy or telling yourself to count your blessings while ignoring the ache. True gratitude is something far deeper. It's a radical act of courage, a conscious decision to notice the small, sacred threads of life even when the world feels overwhelming. Gratitude transforms existence from something we merely endure into something we fully embrace, because it reminds us that life itself is a gift, a miracle that refuses to be taken for granted. I remember meeting a woman who had just lost almost everything she held dear: her home, her health, her sense of security. Most people would have expected her to be bitter, defeated, hopeless. But the first thing she did, the very first thing, was sit at her kitchen table and write down 3 things she was grateful for. Simple things: the sunlight streaming through her window, the sound of her child laughing, the warmth of a cup of tea. And in that act, something extraordinary happened. Her despair didn't disappear, but it became bearable. Her focus shifted from what was gone to what remained, from loss to presence, from absence to possibility. That's the power of gratitude. Gratitude teaches us to see life through a different lens. When we start noticing the small miracles, the subtle kindness of a stranger, the resilience of our own bodies, the love that continues to reach us even when we've closed ourselves off, life stops being something we suffer through and starts becoming something we participate in. It allows us to be fully present, fully alive, and fully connected. And when we are fully connected, even the hard moments carry meaning. Many of us wait for the big moments, the promotions, the awards, the milestones, to feel gratitude. But life isn't just made of extraordinary events. Life is the quiet, ordinary, daily moments, the ones we overlook while rushing to get somewhere. Gratitude transforms the ordinary into something sacred. A morning walk becomes a chance to marvel at the sky. A conversation with a friend becomes a reminder that we are not alone. Even a deep sigh or a tear can remind us that we are human and that being human is a gift worth honoring. And here's the most profound truth: when we cultivate gratitude, it changes us at the very core. We begin to see life as a partnership, not a struggle. We start to understand that even in our mistakes, our losses, and our heartbreaks, there is a thread of grace weaving us forward. Gratitude doesn't erase pain, it softens it, it humanizes it. It reminds us that even suffering is part of this intricate, beautiful tapestry called life. So if you're feeling lost, overwhelmed, or small, try this pause. Take a deep breath. Look around and name one thing, just one thing, that you are grateful for in this very moment. And then another, and another. You'll begin to notice a quiet transformation, a gentle shift in how you see yourself in the world. Gratitude turns existence into meaning. It is the bridge between surviving and truly living. Life is not a series of accidents. And gratitude is the lens that allows us to see it as the miracle it truly is. The more we practice it, the more we realize that every breath, every heartbeat, every fleeting moment, even the messy, painful ones, is a gift. And when we start living with that awareness, life itself begins to speak to us in ways we never thought possible. So if you're listening to this right now, wondering if your life matters, let me remind you, you are not an accident. You were designed with intention. Your presence carries a ripple effect you may never fully see, but it's real. You have survived 100% of your worst days. You've loved, lost, laughed, fallen, and gotten back up again. And every single moment has been building something inside you. A resilience, a depth, a grace that proves your life is a masterpiece still unfolding. So today, live like your breath is a miracle. Speak like your words have power. Love like your heart was chosen, because it was. Because the gift of life is no faking accident. It's the divine reminder that you were always meant to be here.